This is Spiritual Mamas Podcast. We're a couple of mamas out here just trying to raise kids, make it through a workday, and navigate mental health, all while going through a spiritual awakening. And we thought we'd take you with us. So grab your favorite cozy drink and let's chat. Hello,
Hi, welcome back.
I'm Aericka,
I'm Kim.
and this is Spiritual Mamas Podcast.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've recorded.
Yeah, it feels like forever.
Yeah. Although it was a good thing there was no interruption in episodes. We were able to pre-stock them all, but it's been a while since we've been here.
Yeah, we had the holidays, beginning of the year, we're back in the full week of January. And it's actually really pretty out today. It snowed a little bit yesterday, so it was actually
Were
pretty.
you expecting that?
No.
Yeah, me either. And I kept looking at the weather app and I was like, it doesn't say it's snowing or that it's supposed to snow. What is this?
No, and I actually went out. I had to run errands yesterday, and it was super slippery out.
Wow.
Very slippery.
I
But
stayed inside, but I
yeah,
looked at it from the window.
it was pretty, but it was slippery.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good look.
How did your holidays and New Year's go?
Good, pretty low key. I actually ended up going out the day before, like the New Year's Eve,
Mm-hmm.
with friends, and it was actually a lot of fun. But we ended up hanging out after we got done hanging out with the friends, and I hung out a little too much, and so the next day was really low key for me because I did not feel well,
Mm-hmm.
which is unusual. I don't usually do that, but yeah. So yeah, we really didn't do anything for New Year's. How about you?
We didn't do much. I had a lot of family here. I had a house of 10 or more people at any given time. So it was
That's a lot.
packed. Yeah. So it was definitely packed, but we didn't do much for New Year's. We played games, waited for the ball to drop, and by 12:30 I was in bed.
Yeah, we were watching movies, and I kept looking at the time, oh, it's 11:40. Okay, we have time. Watching the movie. Next thing, and it was 11:59. I was like, Happy New Year.
It's here.
Hello. Yeah, so it was kind of weird, but it was good. It was fine.
Yeah,
So.
there was this wild thunderstorm happening at midnight. Did you notice that?
Yes. Yeah, that was really weird.
It was. It was so strange. We were talking about it here, and I was asking, my father was here, and I'm like, have you ever experienced this for New Year's? And he was like, no. The lightning was intense. The thunder was intense. So at midnight, we all went outside to just experience it for a minute, but
yeah, we could see because we have windows, a big door right next to where we can in our living room, and we could see. We're like, is that thunder?
Yeah.
Is that lightning? In January? That's weird.
Yeah. It was a pretty interesting way, I think, to bring in the new year. It was just very memorable.
Yeah, very much so. But I'm happy to get back because definitely was off my game for the last pretty much all of December. Didn't do my affirmations, wasn't meditating, none of my normal stuff. So it's this week I finally started doing that again, and so that was exciting.
Yes, same. I felt so off, and I told you about this already. Because we had so many people here, our sleeping situation was off, and all the routines were off. Everything was just not where it normally is. So yesterday I got back to it, and I felt very refreshed to get back to it. And I was 100% getting all of the messages of yeah, this is the path you're supposed to be on.
Oh, that's
Stop.
awesome.
Stop leaving the routine. And I was like, okay, I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we have exciting news. So we are now on social media. I think we said that this before. We're on Instagram, which is spiritual underscore mamas underscore AK. And
Mm-hmm.
we're also on Facebook at Spiritual Mamas Podcast. And on these, we're going to be doing like a series. Every day is going to be a little bit different because we've been doing this podcast to help our own spiritual journey
Yeah.
and get stronger in our spiritual practice. And through everything that we've learned from the podcast, we've actually have grown really well. So we want to share how like little methods on how to you can do this as well. So like Mondays we're going to do affirmations. Tuesday, obviously, it's like podcast, but Wednesdays we're gonna do writing journal prompts. So look
Yeah.
for the journal prompts and definitely let us know if you do them. We're gonna do like reset Friday, so like ways to do reset, and like
Mm-hmm.
Sundays are gonna be meditations. So yeah, so just check them out. Check out our check out Facebook, check out Instagram, and let us know how it goes. Let us know if you're doing them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a really cool way of doing like small things that you can incorporate, or maybe some more in depth things depending on what it is, but just ways of starting to connect with yourself and get into whatever practice you want to be into,
Yeah.
um, and maybe trying something new.
Yeah, so we'll keep you posted on that, but take a look. And so that's just our big news for now.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so we're doing dreams today.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, dreams. Dreams are cool. Like everybody dreams. And I was like, oh, this will be a fun little topic. But then I started like kind of getting into it, and it's a little bit more in depth than I kind of was thinking it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, well, I'm going to share something about like stuff I've been learning in the shamanic practice and like how to do that. So, how to work with
Yeah,
dreams.
I'm excited about it because I think a lot of people view it that way. Like, we just don't know enough about dreams and what they mean and how to interpret them and if they mean anything. But there's so many different types of dreams that a
Hmm.
person can have, and like everybody dreams. So,
Yeah, exactly. So, I Googled dreams,
mm-hmm.
and clevelandclinic.org
Mm-hmm.
actually had a excerpt on it, had an article on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the definition of dreams is mental, emotional, or sensory experiences that occur during sleep. They are universal human experience. They are a series of images, ideas, and emotions and sensations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, but they've been studied off and on, but we really, like you said, don't really know why anybody dreams.
Yeah.
But there's some reasons as to like theories on what we're dreaming, what they mean.
Yeah.
And the psychologist Sigmund Freud, which everybody knows, and Carl Jung developed theories to explain. Freud said that the repressed content, ideas, or themes, and Dr. Jung theory was that we have a collective consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and that there's something that you're carrying from your ancestors that kind of processes through,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of cool.
I love that. I love that. And I know that not everybody is on board with that, but I think there's so much evidence to show that that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, we notice this all the time, whether it's, you know, like deja vu, or
Mm-hmm.
talking to somebody about something and realizing that you have similar experiences or the same understanding, or a recognized history on something. And for that to be able to come through in dreams, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, there's been more, I don't know if it's studies or thought processes that we really do genetically pass down energy,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, and your energy can then manipulate your genes as well. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. But yeah, so you can dream at any point in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But the most vivid dreams are typically in REM sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And REM sleep is the period when your brain is the most highly active. And you lose muscle tone and your eyes go back and forth and you're behind your eyelids.
Right.
So, do you have any theories as to why we dream?
Um, I haven't like thought too much about it from that perspective, like on my own. Uh, I have heard, and I can't remember now where I've heard this, but like the scientific idea is that our brain is emitting all this electrical activity, which we know that's happening when we dream. It's
Mm-hmm.
very active, but the idea is that it's just trying to process our day to day, organizing memories, emotions, experiences, information, whatever input we've had, and trying to sort through that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true, but only to an extent, because and I don't know if you're going to get to this, but I don't think that that applies when we're talking about like prophetic dreams or daydreaming or nightmares. I don't know that that's exactly what's happening. And I think because there's so many different types of dreams that people can have, that it may depend on the type of dreaming that you're doing that will determine like what's the purpose of this dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that and that's exactly the theory I was going to say is that what you said, but I think that boils it down too simplistic
Yes.
because there are so many different types. Um, and actually, I found this out that through research, they found that people living in certain places may have the same dreams. They have the same symbolic dreams.
Oh, okay.
Like people in Germany tend to have the same type of dreams or like possibly the same symbols in dreams
Yeah.
as other people in Germany, but
Okay.
not the same as like in America.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's that collective consciousness thing or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's you're exposed to certain symbols in certain
Mm-hmm.
areas. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
I
So,
think that that could be like a cultural thing based on, you know, what your society is dictating, but it also makes sense. Like one of the things that I was thinking of is like how we interpret dreams and how there can be so many common interpretations. Like
mhm.
if you have a dream that your teeth are falling out, then it means XYZ. And so maybe there's a lot of people that are having dreams where their teeth are falling out, but maybe that's like localized to specific types of areas based on what that society is experiencing.
Exactly. Yeah, that was interesting. I hadn't thought of that before, so it was really cool. And like you were saying, there's like thoughts on what's happening when you're dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
There's all that symbolic language like we just talked about. Some people believe that your soul's traveling, like astral travel, and that there's guidance or healing happening. There's prophetic visions. I've heard of people astral traveling.
I've heard of that and I find that so fascinating. I would love to learn more about that. Um, I mean, just on the surface, the whole like idea of astral projection, astral traveling is pretty cool. But even beyond that, what you can gain from doing something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, some people think that like the shamanic journeying is astral travel, but it's not because we're not going to a place.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Our soul is not necessarily like
Yeah.
our consciousness, our being, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It's not like another plane, I think, supposedly.
That makes sense. That makes sense because it
That makes
doesn't,
sense.
because
Exactly.
which is like strange to say, but there are so many complexities to things like this. There's so many different ways of looking at it. There's so many different aspects. Like when you're trying to separate the soul from the consciousness, from the mind, from the body, from the spirit, like all
Hmm.
of those can be viewed differently. So, yeah, I mean, I think you have to kind of be open to it being that complex and having something that is like, oh, okay, I kind of like vaguely understand that, but that's why I would like to learn more about it.
Yeah, I definitely don't know enough. Maybe we'll have to do dive into that one.
Yeah.
So dreams in ancient times and in ancient cultures were huge.
Okay.
They were used for everything. They were used prophetically. They were used for healing. There's cultures where they would sit around and talk about the dreams they had each morning, like next morning, to figure out what needed to happen in the tribe. So there's a lot. So here's an interesting tidbit. There's a temple in ancient Greece to the goddess Hygeia, and she's the goddess of dreams. And people would go to this pilgrimage to this temple of the goddess Hygeia, and they would tell the priestesses what the problem was, and the priestesses would lead them into the temple, and they would be there for the night. And before they went to bed, they would like, okay, I'm calling on Hygeia to help me to heal, blah, 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 blah. And she would often come to them in a serpent form. And let's say you had hip pain and you wanted your hip fixed, she would bite you there.
Oh.
And that would be how it got fixed.
Wow.
Or whatever the situation was. But it was often a serpent that would come. And then the next morning, they would write on the wall of the temple the problem they had, the dream they had, and the solution.
Wow.
Yeah. Thousands of people did this. One of these people was Hippocrates.
Okay.
Who is the godfather of modern medicine. And he started looking at this wall. He did the pilgrimage, he did the dream. And he looked at the wall, and he's looking at this wall, and he's like, there's a pattern here of illness and treatment. And he wrote them down. And that became the beginning of modern medicine.
That's wild.
Right? Insane. When I heard that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So, and, have you seen like the symbol for like dentists and
yeah.
There's a serpent.
Yeah, on a staff, right?
Yeah, that's Hygeia.
Yeah. Okay. All the pieces are clicking together.
Yeah. So I thought that was super fascinating. And then there's a dream temple in Malta.
Okay.
That's like 5,000 years old. And people, again, would go pilgrimage there for their illnesses and stuff. And same thing. They would lay there. They would ask for healing. And then they would come out and do that in same situation.
So there has to be something to that. Like there was at some point something to that. I wonder where was the point that we got away from that? Because I can still see now we may not do it in such big ways. We may not have specific places dedicated to this or ceremonies around it. But if I have a dream that I'm trying to like figure out, or I don't know what it means, I'm going to my friends and like, hey, listen to what I dreamt last night, and what do you think this means? And we're talking about that in individual situations. I wonder when we got away from like going to a place where that it was dedicated.
I think it's modernization. I think that kind of is where a lot of this stuff went awry, I guess. I think it's just like the modernization, people coming in and saying it's not provable, or you can't see it, so it can't happen, that sort of thing.
I love science, and it frustrates me for that exact reason. I love the idea of like, okay, let's put this to the scientific method and let's prove it or disprove it or whatever. But I hate that it excludes anything that can't fall into that, because there is so much more that doesn't fall into that. And who knows how long it is before you get to the point where it can fall into that. There are still areas of Earth and the universe, the stars, the galaxy that we're exploring that we can't put into science and say, like, this is what dark matter is. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
what this looks like, or how you find it, or what it does. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Everything you just said. I And the thing is, like, we can't necessarily prove everything. Like, we can't, even in science, you can't necessarily prove everything. Like, medicine, 90% of the time, if you look in, like, the class of drugs, like, if you look down at a drug, it says the mechanism of action is unknown, but
Mm-hmm.
we know it does this at the
Mm-hmm.
outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
You
think
know?
that the biggest one that I saw recently that scares me with that is anesthesia.
Mm.
Like, we don't know exactly how it's working in your body, but we know it works. You're knocking people unconscious
Mm-hmm.
for specific periods of time,
Yeah.
and you don't know what's happening to them. Like, that's
Yeah,
insane.
exactly. No, I know. It that always boggled my mind when I was learning all of this was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, the mechanism of action is not understood, but
Yeah.
but okay. Medicine is good. We could take
Yep.
medicine, like,
Yep.
don't we're not going to we're not saying don't take medicine.
Right. No,
But it's just a
absolutely.
fact. Like, it's a little interesting fact. So,
Yeah. And when it comes to something like this, I feel like dreams can be so significant, and um, they can really give you some good insight, and just kind of tossing them out because you don't understand them doesn't
mhm,
make sense.
exactly. So are there are people that say that they can interpret dreams, like, as part of, like, a spiritual practice, as part of, like,
Yeah.
intuitive work.
Yeah.
There are people that can actually interpret dreams.
Yes.
I don't know much about that, but I don't know if they do. You know, like, how it works at all?
I don't. I know someone who does this, and not professionally, and she would never claim to, but there
Hmm.
has never been a time where I have come to her and been like, "Hey, I had this dream and it's super weird, and what do you think?" And the way that she puts things together, the way that she can, like, differentiate what this means or what that could be pointing to, just her point of view on things is mind-boggling to me. But she does it so well, and she's always been so accurate.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, it's not anything that she does, like, professionally, or that she would ever claim to do. So it's just
Hmm.
something I noticed that she does. So I'm not really sure, like, where that comes from, how people get to the point of being able to do that. I don't know if it's something that you can learn or something that happens intrinsically, but
I think, like, with all intuitive work, I think it depends on what you're prone to, not prone to, what you're good at, what you're
mm-hmm.
inherently good at. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like everybody who has intuitive practice is inherently good at something and then can learn
Mm-hmm.
other things because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she's just intuitively good at intuiting dreams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
In shamanism,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we don't interpret dreams, but we can use them to find out meanings,
Okay.
which is kind of weird. I know it's, like, almost the same words, but I'll explain. So again, we journey. So what we could do is we journey to the dream master,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has their own dream master, and it could be
Okay.
in the upper world or the lower world. And what we do is we kind of meditate on a dream that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
I keep a dream journal next to my bed, and I will try to wake up when I have a dream and write down as soon as like, in the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
I'll write something down. And so we'll meditate on that dream as if it's actually happening again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will ask our spirit animal, our power animal, to take us to the dream master. And once we get to the dream master, we ask them, "Hey, I have this dream," and describe the dream. "Can you take me to it?"
Okay.
And then they take you to the dream, and you say, "Can you tell me what this dream is supposed to tell me? Like, can you
Mm-hmm.
help me know what this dream is supposed to tell me?"
Yeah.
And I've done it 3 times now, and it's very interesting each time.
Mm-hmm.
The first time was wild, and it kind of was what I thought the dream was telling me, but much more expansive
Mm-hmm.
and much more in detail.
Okay.
So that was cool. And I did it again recently in same situation. It actually went the opposite direction. It wasn't what I thought it was at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually didn't really have an expectation as to why I was having this dream. I knew I kept dreaming about like being on a horse or horses. I kept getting these glimpses of horses in multiple dreams, and I finally was able to write one down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I journeyed on that one, and that one was really interesting too. And not like, so like if you were to interpret what having a horse in your dream meant,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little different than journeying to that dream,
Yeah.
asking the dream, what are you trying to tell me?
Yes. I think
So,
that's a big piece of this too, is like, I have this book here. It's 12,000 Dream Interpretations. And you can pick one thing from your dream and go to the book and look at it, and it'll tell you what that means. And the same with Google. You can Google, what does it mean when this is in your dream? But those are like very, I think, like high level, broad interpretations of like, if you're
mm-hmm,
dreaming of this, this is what it means. But when you're putting it in the specific context of your dream, it could
mm-hmm.
mean something totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how you tell the difference. I wasn't able to like say the difference as to
Yeah.
what with like the journeying to the dream and interpreting the dream. So that's the difference. So I thought
Yeah.
that was, it's a really cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how in shamanism everything's a little bit individualized, like where your dream master is could be different
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
What they look like is different for everybody. How you get there is a little different for everybody. So it's kind of cool. The other thing is there's a culture called the Senoian people,
Okay.
and they're an ancient tribe, ancient people that live in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
And they're one of the most like famous cultures for dream culture.
Okay.
And they do Senoi dream work. And
Mm-hmm.
this one, I would really encourage people to do. I'm going to tell you how to do it. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you record your dreams, same ways like I said. You have your journal right next to your bed, pen, flashlight, whatever. As soon as you have a dream and you wake, like, you know how you wake up from dreams, right? And write it down. It doesn't even matter if you remember the whole thing, it'd be bits and pieces, but write it down. So do that the next day or whenever you want to. Again, you meditate on that dream
Mm-hmm.
and you write it down. You write down the dream as if it was happening again. And then you pick a main character from that dream. Like I could have picked the horse
Mm-hmm.
from mine, and they're called your dominant character. Or you could pick yourself, which is the dream ego. Like
Okay.
if you wanted to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And you have a directed dialogue. So you're
Okay.
asking specific questions in a semi-meditative state to this
Mm-hmm.
person or thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a tree. So your first question is, so you go into that meditative state, and you think of this person, and you go to the person in the dream, and you ask them, who are you?
Okay.
Come out of the meditative state and write it down. Doesn't have to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It could be one word, it could be a sentence, and then you go back into the meditative state and you say, why are you in my dream?
Mm.
Come out again. Write. Don't even think about it. Don't look at it, just write it. Go back in. Why are you acting this way? Same thing. Come out, write it. Number 4, what do you have to tell me?
Mm.
Number 5, why is whatever it is happening in my dream? And write it down. The next one is, what do you want from me? Or what do you want me to know would be also another way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, what is your gift to me?
Mm.
And then you thank them, and you release them, you come out of the meditative state, and then you look at the answers and see what it shows, see what it says,
Mm-hmm.
and see if it makes any sense to you. So,
I really like that. I like that it gives you very specific questions to ask and a way of getting more and more information. The other thing that kind of made me think is having a conversation with spirit, the universe,
mm-hmm,
your ancestors, your spirit guides. Like these are things that you can put out there to gain a better understanding, a deeper connection, to get answers if you're looking for them. So it's a almost like a parallel to your waking state.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I find it interesting that you come and go in this one because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes you're meditating like just straight through.
Yeah.
Um, and it sounds a little bit difficult, but it actually isn't. If you start out in a fairly meditative state and kind of just come out and just write
Yeah.
and don't really kind of look at what you're writing
Mm-hmm.
and don't think about what you're writing, then it's easy to kind of go back
Yeah.
into that meditative state and go back to that person.
Yeah. I would imagine that that's something that takes a little bit of practice to be able to do to go back and forth, but
Mm-hmm.
it does. I mean, I can see how even in not a meditative state, if you're doing something, but you need to make a note real quick, I've done this and like, I'm just going to jot this down over here. I'm not really paying attention to it, but I'm paying attention over here and then come back to it later. That's what I think of. So just taking that and instead of like paying attention to something here, you're in your meditative state.
Right. Yeah. I've done this a couple of times, and the first time was I was trying to talk to this character who was in my dream somewhat psychotic.
Mm.
And they were in my house. And when I first went in, I asked him the first couple of questions, and he really I couldn't get his attention. He just kept doing what he was doing. And I was like, okay, like, I'm trying to talk to you, dude. And I finally figured out I had to step in front of him and look directly at him, like not be nice. Like it was like, why are you acting like this? Like be
Yeah.
direct. And then he would stop for a second, tell me something, and then go back to what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't get a whole lot out of most of the questions until I said, what is your gift to me?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, time and healing.
Mm.
Which was really weird because the dream was nothing about that
Yeah.
at all. But that's what he said.
Interesting.
So
I think it's really cool to have that type of experience where you can go in and in this case, the way that you're describing it anyway, if you were actually in front of a person who was like in psychosis or something like that, that's probably how they would be acting.
mm-hmm.
So for it to mirror that so well. But the other piece that's kind of coming to me is I'm not a dream interpreter, and up to this point, anytime that I have talked about dreams, either my dreams or other people's dreams, it's always been, well, how did you feel when you woke up from that?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you're describing this dream, waking up from it, you might have felt off or unsettled or, like
Mm-hmm.
something unpleasant or uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was not a good dream. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the message that you're getting from it when you're actually going back is the complete opposite. So you wouldn't want to go with how you felt when you woke up because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really align with what the message of the dream was.
Right. Yeah. And again, people are like, oh, did you make it up? Blah, blah, blah. But again, I've said this before, is that how I know, or how I think I know,
Mm-hmm.
that these are coming not from me is the way that they say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that like push of the sentence, like time,
Yeah.
healing. You know what I mean? Like it's like they have to push out that energy to say something. And it's, again, not my cadence, not my voice. So
Yeah. Yeah. When you keep track of your dreams, do you see that there's any sort of theme to like the types of dreams that you're having?
it depends. So that dream, that
Mm-hmm.
night I had two dreams, very similar. Um, they were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Two dreams back to back. And I generally don't remember my dreams very well. So to have two very distinct dreams in the same day
Mm-hmm.
was kind of crazy. But no, I don't typically, no, I don't think that I do.
Okay. I'm asking because I know that there are sometimes when a person can have the same types of dreams and not necessarily like the same theme or things happening, but like I know someone who is always having uh sleep paralysis,
Mm-hmm.
and in their sleep paralysis they're always having nightmares, and it may be different types of nightmares, but it's always a
Mm-hmm.
nightmare of some kind.
Right.
Or someone else that's like always having daydreams or something like that. So I didn't know if there was like some sort of pattern you noticed around that.
In the past, way before I started doing any of this, there were dreams that I had with similar characters, similar situation,
Mm-hmm.
always unsettling, and it
Mm-hmm.
was always like they were watching me.
Mm-hmm.
There was always two of them. They were
Yeah.
always watching me, and they were talking about me behind my back, and they weren't human characters.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
I used to dream about them all the time. And
Yeah.
you know what? I should probably journey on one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I haven't had those in probably a good, I don't know, 5 years or so. But yeah, I
Okay.
was having them, the same ones over and over. But lately, no.
Okay. I know that I've had three reoccurring dreams throughout my life, um, and they always come when I'm stressed. Uh, and you and I had talked about this before, but I had, um, oh my goodness, why is my mind blanking? Why is my mind blanking? What is the thing that I did in April? A past life regression. Oh my
Okay, yeah. I was
goodness.
like, wait, what?
I was like, what are the words? But I had done the past life regression and had mentioned that I was having these reoccurring dreams. And so we went into each of the dreams and identified what they meant for me. And I haven't had them since then.
Hmm.
So almost a year now that I haven't had any of these dreams, which is really strange because I'm like always stressed or anxious. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I can say that outside of having like these reoccurring dreams, typically my dreams are like lucid and I can,
Can you
control.
talk about that? Because I have not experienced that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
My son talks about that all the time. He's like, "Oh, I lucid dream. I did this, that, and the other." And can you
Mm-hmm.
talk about that? Because I don't know anything about that.
I don't know how other people experience it, but I think for me this has come about just because I was having so many like anxious dreams and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like that. So I had learned to wake myself up to stop the dream, and now it's at a place where I don't wake up completely. I don't even open my eyes. I'm not like thinking really about like daytime stuff, but I
Mm-hmm.
am controlling what I'm doing. So typically if I'm having a dream where I know something bad is about to happen, a car accident, a injury, a fight, something, I will change what I do. My initial instinct in the dream might be to, confront this person or walk into the street or whatever, and I just know that that's coming, so I do something different. I say something different, I do something different, I change the setting of the dream. Like, nope, I don't want to be in this parking lot anymore. We're inside now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change the dream. I'm not having a different dream, but
Mm-hmm.
it is changing what's happening in the dream so that I'm not having super stressful dreams anymore.
Interesting.
I don't know how else to describe it. I know that it happens almost nightly.
Hmm.
And if I can't, for whatever reason, if I feel like stuck, then I will wake myself up and get up out of bed, go to the bathroom, try to reset before I go back to bed.
Yeah. I definitely have never done that. Very interesting. I wonder why that happens. Should have looked
Yeah.
that up, but I didn't.
I don't know why it happens for everybody else. That's just my theory on why it happens for me, because I would have so many stress dreams, and it's like, I don't want to have these dreams anymore. I don't like waking up feeling stressed, anxious, upset, whatever. I don't like having dreams where I'm being injured or people that I care about are being injured.
Mm-hmm.
So I would start to do that. Interestingly, though, despite the fact that I am controlling what I'm doing in the dream, I don't often remember what the dream was when I woke up unless I'm immediately writing it down. So I'm not really sure why lucid dreams don't make it any easier to remember the dream, but
yeah, you would think it would, because you're semi-awake.
Yeah.
More conscious anyways, in a different consciousness, I guess.
Yeah, I think the idea in lucid dreams is that you're in that state between wakefulness and sleep. And we've talked about before, not in the middle of the night when I'm lucid dreaming, but right when I go to bed or right when I wake up for the day, when I'm in between the states of wake and sleep, then I will like see things, usually shapes. But this is something that's like totally different because my eyes aren't open when I'm lucid dreaming, whereas in those states, my eyes are open. And there's like a series of events happening in this dream. Like it makes sense. Whereas before I go to sleep or when I wake up, if I'm seeing something, it's just like random geometric shapes or something like that. It's not actually something that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, very interesting.
Yeah. I think of all the different types of dreams there are, I wrote down that I've experienced lucid dreams, which are like all the time, reoccurring dreams, which I just talked about. Nightmares, I don't have that often. I think I've had maybe a couple nightmares. I don't really have many nightmares. Prophetic dreams, I'll say that I've had one, maybe two, but one for sure.
I think you probably have them more often.
Yeah, if only I could interpret them better, I guess. If they were just like the lotto numbers, that'd be great. But
you're like, please.
Just give me these numbers. And daydreams. And daydreams I think I've only ever had if I've like allowed myself to sit and daydream.
I do daydream.
I feel like that's the most peaceful of them. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I just want to think about something or experience something. Mm-hmm. Daydream worthy.
You know, during school.
Yeah.
During lectures at work. When my training sessions at work.
Actual life is just not feeling super exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, dreams are so interesting. Mm-hmm. So
I think if we can learn more about like how people interpret dreams, that would be pretty cool. And I definitely want to try some of this, the experience that you were talking about, like the meditative state, going in and asking those questions to get more information from the dreams.
Yeah. If you do the Senoian dream work, let me know. Anybody else does it, send me a comment, let me know how it worked. Like, what did you think of it? Was it cool? Was it scary? Did it not work? Was it stupid? Yeah. Let me know. So
cool.
All right. Well, that's all I have.
Amazing. So maybe for this dream episode, people can take time, if they aren't already, like take time over the next week or so to keep track of their dreams and see if they can maybe get some more information on what their dreams mean or what types of dreams they're having and what they can do with that information.
Yeah, I think it would really help some people, because sometimes you have those dreams, you're just like, what did that even mean? You
Yeah.
know, why did I even dream that? And I think it might help you.
Yeah. I think with a lot of the stuff that we've been exploring, on the face of it, it's like, yeah, that could mean something, but I don't really know. But the more that, at least for myself, the more that I practice it, and I think for you too, the more that we look into it, the more we practice it, the more we incorporate it, the more we realize it's like, oh yeah, I wasn't even realizing that. I wasn't paying attention to that, or that is
Mm-hmm.
telling me something, and I should be more mindful of
Yep.
whatever that is. So
Mm-hmm.
this is just another one of those things where, like, if you want to gain more insight into your own subconscious, your own intuition, your own experiences, this is a great way of doing that.
Yeah, very much so. Excuse me,
Yeah.
very much so. So,
Cool.
so again, go follow our Instagram, go follow our Facebook. Watch out for the new series of things,
Yeah.
and like us, follow us, comment, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.